In order to use HTTPS inspection, we have to have it both configured and enabled. So to do that, we're going to enable the recommended policy instead of the default policy. We'll then enable HTTPS inspection on Gateway 1, and then we'll verify that it works. Our first step here in Smart Console is on the left-hand side with Security Policies selected, and then with the Standard tab selected under Shared Policies, we're going to click on Inspection Settings right here. So we'll click on Inspection Settings, and then we'll go to Gateways, and instead of using the default inspection, which is intended to have a fairly low impact on the system, we're going to go ahead and double-click on this entry, which will edit the properties. And for Firewall 1, instead of using the default inspection, we'll use the recommended inspection. The biggest difference is the recommended inspection is going to take more overhead, including the ability to do HTTPS inspection. So for now, we'll use the recommended inspection, click on OK. We'll close that window, and you'll notice we have one unpublished change. So we'll go ahead and publish that, which will remove the lock regarding that element. And then the second step is to modify Firewall 1 to tell it to enable HTTPS inspection. Now there's lots of options regarding how to edit Firewall 1. We could double click right here when we see the Firewall 1 object as part of one of our rules. We could click here on objects and use the navigator pane here, find it and edit it. We could click on gateways and servers and we could edit it from that list. Or we could use this option right here to navigate and find Firewall 1. However, since we're looking at the object, we can just double click on it right here in the rule, and that'll give us the ability to edit the properties of Firewall 1. So here on the left, regarding Firewall 1, we'll click on the HTTPS inspection right here, and then there's three basic steps. Number 1, either create a certificate that Gateway 1 can use for the HTTPS inspection, or if you already have a certificate signed by a CA that all the browsers trust, you could go ahead and import one. For now, let's go ahead and create a new certificate for this demonstration. So we'll click on Create. For the issued by, let's put www.ourcompany.com. We'll put in a password that's used to protect the private key. I'm just going to use a lab password a couple of times, accept the default validity dates, and click OK. So if we wanted to view that newly created certificate, we could click right here, View Certificate. And here we can see it's issued by www.ourcompany.com. It's also giving us a warning that, hey, this certificate authority who issued this certificate isn't trusted by your computer. Currently, I'm sitting at DCNUG. So if we wanted this computer to trust this certificate authority, we could install the certificate as a trusted CA right here on this computer alone, or we could export that certificate and then push it out to all of our computers in an Active Directory environment using a technique like group policy. But either way, we want to make sure that when our users are trying to go through the gateway with HTTPS and the gateway presents its own certificate, we want to make sure our browsers trust it so that our users do not get a certificate error, because we've trained them that if they ever get a certificate error, they should never continue. They should stop right there. So for this demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and click on Install Certificate for this single machine, DCNUG. The default for store location is the current user. I'm going to click on Next, and then I'm going to click on the second radio button, Place all certificates in the following store. I'm going to click on Browse, and I'm going to place it in the store of trusted root CAs. And that way, this browser will trust any certificates signed by www.ourcompany.com. So I'll go ahead and with Trusted Root Certificate Authority selected, we'll click on OK. Then we'll click on Next and Finish. It's giving us a warning that, hey, if you install this root certificate, we're going to trust any certificates signed by it. And that's our intent. So we'll click on Yes to continue. Then we'll close the wizard by clicking on OK. And then our next step is to go ahead and export that certificate. And that way we could push it out via group policy to all of our computers if we wanted them also to trust any certificates signed by that CA. And then once we've done that, the next step is to go ahead and enable HTTPS inspection. So with the check in that checkbox next to Enable HTTPS inspection, we'll click OK. And here's giving us a friendly warning saying, hey, you know what? You never exported that certificate, and so if you did want to push that certificate out to all your clients, which is a good idea, you need to make sure you go through that step. So for this demonstration, DCNUG, the single computer, is OK with that certificate as a trusted CA. So I'm going to click on Yes. I want to continue anyway. And you'll notice we have a little lock symbol next to Firewall 1. And that's because we're making changes that have not yet been published. So we'll go ahead and click on Publish to release the lock. And you'll notice over here on the left under Shared Policies, we now have a new entry of HTTPS inspection. That was not there previously. If we click on that, it says if you want to manage this shared policy regarding HTTPS inspection, you're going to have to use Smart Dashboard. This is like a throwback to R76, R77, and so forth before we had R80.x. So we really don't need to modify the default policy, but let's take a look at it. So we'll click here, and here it's going to open up Smart Dashboard in a separate window. And here it's dropping us on the HTTPS inspection tab, and it's also got us currently on the policy section regarding HTTPS inspection. So in this predefined rule that it provided for us, it's going to apply HTTPS inspection regarding traffic from anywhere if it's HTTPS or proxy HTTPS. Regarding any site category, the action is to inspect, and for tracking, let's change that so we can have some log events. So under track, I'm going to use the drop down and click on log, and that's the certificate it's going to be using. And because we just made a change there, we need to save that change. We can do that with this little icon up in the top left, the little picture of the 3.5-inch floppy disk. So we'll click on Save. Then we can close Smart Dashboard if we're done with that. And then we can come back here and we can publish any changes that we've made. So with the changes configured and published, there's one other step we need to do before it's going to work, and that is we need to install the policy out on the gateways. And to do that, we're going to click on the icon for Install Policy. We'll click on Install to confirm, and it's off to the races. Now that that's done, let's go ahead and test it. Let's minimize Smart Console. Back here on DCNUG, let's go ahead and open up a browser. I'm going to use Chrome on the taskbar here. So I'll click on Chrome, and let's go out to https://www.google.com. Or if we went to google.com, it would redirect us to HTTPS anyway. Either way, we're going to be going through the gateway with HTTPS, which should kick in the HTTPS inspection. So we'll press Enter, and it worked. And it looks pretty darn normal from a user perspective, and that's how it should look. We didn't get a certificate error because our local computer trusts the signer of the certificate that we're using on Firewall 1. And a great question is, how can we verify that the HTTPS inspection is actually working? And there's two great ways of checking. One of those is to go back to Smart Console. So we'll go back to Smart Console, and here in Smart Console, if we go under Logs and Monitor, over here on the left, and let me expand some of these columns so we can see them a little better. Regarding the blade that was in use, we have several entries for HTTPS inspection, including actions of inspect. So if we take one of these inspections, in fact, let's grab this one right here and just double click on it. And here, among other details, it includes information regarding the HTTPS inspection that just took place. Another option that we could do is to go back to our browser. And so if we go back to our Chrome session, and from here if we do a Control-Shift-I, and that's going to bring us some developer panels that we can look at. So over here on the right in the developer panels, if we click on the icon that kind of looks like chevrons, and then from the drop down select security right here, and then right here regarding valid certificate, it indicates that that certificate was issued by www.ourcompany.com. And if we wanted to view the details of that certificate, we can go ahead and click on View Certificate just to verify the details of the certificate that Firewall 1 is using as part of HTTPS inspection. In this nugget, we took a look at configuring and verifying HTTPS inspection in a checkpoint environment. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.